Hello friends, welcome to today's daily devotion as we continue to look at Paul's letter to the church of Colossae and the domino effect of letting this book, this letter, become the impacting aspect of God working in us. Today we're looking at Colossians chapter 3, verses 9 and 10. We continue to explore this idea of dying in order to live. Hear these words. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices, and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its Creator. Paul is talking about old self, new self. Yesterday, he described the earthly self, putting that to death. Well, the earthly self, the old self, this is the false self. And all of us, we have a sense of self-identity, who I am. And the problem is we lie to ourselves and therefore lie to others, sometimes even without realizing it. If our identities are caught up in all the wrong things, then we cannot help but have a false identity, a false self. This is the old self that Paul says we don't need it anymore. Amy Grant had a song way back a long time ago that asked the question, are you living in an old man's rubble? Are you listening to the father of lies? Well, if you are, then you're headed for trouble because you'll eventually die. Something along those lines. Well, Paul here is giving us this idea. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices. We have to take off this old false identity and put on the new self, this new life, the new person that Jesus is creating in us when we live in Him instead of in ourselves. We are being renewed in the knowledge of the image of our Creator. Remember when we talked about the fullness of God is in the human Jesus that lets the human us experience the fullness of God within ourselves. This is that new life. If you're living as a new creation, Amy Grant's song says, then you're living in a mighty fortress, and you're going to be clothed with power and light. My friends, we have the opportunity to no longer live in the lie of ourselves falsely, but live into the truth of Jesus fully. That's what repentance is all about. It's turning away from the old and turning towards the new. This could be summarized by this cliche. If you try to fake it, you're never gonna make it. Remember when we talked about banding yesterday? Well, this is another aspect of what the band participation will do for us. When we are in a Wesleyan discipleship band, in an accountability group, we're encouraging one another to live into the new selves provided by Jesus. So if you didn't hear me yesterday, hear me today. Find that group of 3 or 4 people that you will all come together for mutual encouragement and trust, so that you can have the new self in yourself. And I'll see you tomorrow for our next daily devotion.